Okay, this is a quick video that I'm going to be looking at playing the TSWW, the Second World War system. All I'm doing here is just as an introduction. I've got the Malaya module set out, Samurai Blitzkrieg, and we've got the naval stuff sorted out. I've got most of the naval things identified and put to one side, and same with the British down here. Just a few comments. First thing is, it's really difficult to read the hex numbers. But they're all right when they're in clear terrain like these ones here. You start getting into the jungle areas, it gets very, very difficult reading these. Now, I struggle with finding hexes as well for some reason. I can see how it's numbered here. It's going like a column across here, 2013, 2414. That'll be 2514. It's when you're going down, so you'd be going for 23. That would be 23. Then it goes down over there, 23. So it's not your standard way of numbering hexes. I assume you get used to it. Other things people might comment on, counters are very thin, but I've not found a problem with them. They're nice and sturdy and they don't produce big stacks. So I give those at the moment a positive. Now, setting up, it's been a bit difficult at times finding certain units. And the reason for this is the way that the counter sheets are set up. Now, I assume it's this because this is a fairly small company, and getting these counter sheets printed must have been a bit of a problem for them because they're all over the place. You can find those Japanese units on about 8 or 9 on about 3 or 4 of the sheets, and it's like that with all of them. There's the odd little set of units printed off in a group on a sheet. One over there. It's the same thing all over. There'll be the odd, there's an odd group of aircraft there, which are not in the same place as all the other aircraft. So that makes it a wee bit difficult to find things. In terms of the Navy was all right for the British because I could easily find all these names, but the Japanese names, well, unless you can speak Japanese, you're probably going to end up doing what I did and then just put them by class. It tells you in the setup what the actual counters characteristics are, and you just find units that match that rather than the exact ships. Otherwise, you drive yourself nuts trying to find all those different Japanese destroyers with all them names that all look very similar. Any other comments on this at the moment? Yeah, there's certain unit types I haven't managed to find yet, like a TBF. I know it's something's related to naval units, but I've not been able to find it. This sheet here with the unit identification, it's just not good enough. There's stuff on here like naval transports, etc., which needs to be marked on here, landing craft, same sort of thing, so you know what you're actually looking at. It's all right, it says it. Oh, there's it's got your capacity code there. When it's looking at an aircraft, and it shows you capacity of when a code. Well, it shows you one that has no capacity and has a code of T. Well, that's not really helping. Because your actual capacities for things like landing craft, those are ones, okay? because they've got in the middle there it is a 1 in that at the bottom, and that means it's 1 naval strength point or 1 landing craft ones, and there's some 3s and 7s, etc. I'm sure there are other things in here. QMs was something, which is quartermaster, so it's in the setup as QM. It's not obvious what a QM is. I know there's like appendices at the back and abbreviations and things, but every time I've tried to look one up so far, it's not been in there. I've looked up several of them, and I can never find the ones I want. They're never in the list of abbreviations, and they're never there in the appendix. I've got the 1.4 rule book, but I'm gonna be messing possibly with the 1.5 one. This one's better in the way it's laid out, because it's laid out so it's all in like a ring binder. It's much easier to manipulate than the other one, which I've got over here, which is, it's bound, but it's really difficult to read because of the way it's bound together. I don't know if it's punched. I could punch it all and put it in an actual folder. Other charts that I've used this has been pretty good, enabling you to identify the various sort of nationalities and subtypes and things like that. That's a really good sheet. The only thing, as I said, is sometimes they're not all together on the counter sheets. They're not grouped logically. You're often having to check several counter sheets to find the ones you want. Right, so what I'm going to be doing with this has got a reputation for being a very complex system. People have said, I've seen comments that say this is more complicated than GOS, and then they've said that GOS is more complicated than OCS. Now, I've played OCS and Europa, because this is based on Europa, but it's a far more complicated beast than Europa is. I'm going to be keeping the DAC 2 game going downstairs, and this one's just going to be me messing around, probably. I found some decent videos on YouTube that cover air combat, ground combat, naval combat. There's also one on unit types and sequence of play, so that looks pretty good. It's a nice looking game, I can't argue with that. Definitely does look the business, but it seems to have some good mechanics and things in it that's going to make it a lot more realistic than Europa. I'm just concerned that it may be mechanically too complex. It's certainly okay on a low unit density campaign like this. I think there's about 3 divisions on the Allied side and 3 on the Japanese side. But that's all I've got to say on this at the moment.